my take on the influence of David Beckham, Mr. David Beckham, on my sporting career, 1990s to present. I'm doing this in honor of the one day Mr. Beckham Day today, Friday, 6 September 2024, the day I'm filming this. I am Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And I am a middle distance runner. And so some people might go, how the heck has David Beckham influenced your sports career? That's something they might say to me. I'm like, oh, that's a good question. I'm a multi-sport athlete with sustained performance in multiple sports, including over a decade of competition in swimming, 9 seasons in soccer, and then I have 1 season of competition in middle distance running, but I've continued middle distance running for time since that competition, and I started middle distance running before that. And Mr. David Beckham appears to be a common theme throughout my sporting career. So I was like, let's see if I can put it together into some sort of coherent story. So while I go through this, I'm going to have a cup of Nissin, cup of noodles. This is chicken flavor. And this is the good old, when I was on swim team back in the 1990s and the early 2000s, we had to write poetry and stuff for school. And so people would joke about how if they ever had to write a book about themselves, because we had to write like about the author section and stuff like that. I didn't come up with it, but some of the other kids did, was Just Add Water would be the perfect name for an autobiography of a swimmer, because this is the product, not necessarily the same packaging because we had styrofoam back then, that the Just Add Water title came from. Now, if somebody's published a book with that name and it's not part of my 1990s, 2000s crew, right? I grew up in the Seattle area, Seattle Summer Swim League, right? Then that's probably not, or I don't actually know if that's probably not, but if they've accused Chinese swimmers of doping, they're not going to be naming it after a Chinese noodle product, okay? Or Asian noodle product. Just the reality check of that. But yeah. And so, and that is actually relevant. It's not actually a tangent, because a number of the people I swam with, or who were swimmers at the same time and I competed against, we were actually on the same soccer team. And so I started competing in soccer back in 1998, and I started competing in swimming in 1999, and I started competing in running in 2007. And David Beckham, I was aware of because I was a girl, and my sister and I liked the Spice Girls. And then I got to see him play in 1999 on TV. It was not of my initiative. It was like, for some of us who are playing, we got to watch the game. And he had the jersey number 7. And it was like, maybe the first time where I was like, maybe, like, oh yeah, you can keep the same jersey number. Like, and it fit him. He was jersey number 7 for Manchester United. He's English, an English footballer. He's approximately 16 years of age, older than me. So a little bit of an age gap there. And so I took note of both the name and the number. Now, you know, there's been some big name soccer players from these parts, the Seattle area, or greater Seattle area, and just kind of the United States of America in general. Women's soccer has been, in my lifetime, perhaps more notable than men's soccer, or at least in when I played soccer. But David Beckham was the one person whose name and number I remembered. So it was factored into my decision making when I just settled on the jersey number 9, and then stayed with that through season number 9 for my soccer stuff. So I competed for 9 seasons. In 2006, I started running with myself as coach, and then I competed for the high school track and field team in 2007. And I was assigned the middle distance group. Was David Beckham behind the scenes pulling the strings to make sure I ran the 800 instead of the 1600? I don't know. Anyway, get out there. My first ever track and field competition. I'm running the 800 meters, okay? And, you know, people are talking about, like, their runners, right? This is like, you know, it's like soccer all over again. Can you name people that you find inspirational, or, like, name players? And so, you know, all right, it's a boys and girls, like, we train together, co-ed training kind of thing. kind of thing. And the meets are contested at the same time, not necessarily the same heat, but they're asking us all about like who we like as runners. Okay, and back in 2007, there's so one of the ladies asks me about like, who do you like who's a runner? And then a guy chimes in. I think it might have been Gladow who chimed in, but I'm not certain of that, about how the person had to be fast. And then she goes, so he puts his input, and then she's like, but they have to be fast. I'm like, David Beckham. All right, and it's like word vomit, right? It's that kind of thing where it just like pops into my head, and there's no emergency brake whatsoever. I was not prepared to be asked about runners and like provide names as to like who I find inspirational. So out pops David Beckham, and they go, yeah, that's right. He's gotta be fast as a field player. And so, and of course, then essentially like I go, I'm like so it was 2007, and I stopped playing soccer in 2006. So, and I had 9 seasons of that, consecutive seasons. So it was like the next year, and the season was in the autumn of 2006, autumn and winter, and so this was spring of 2007. So it's not very far off, right, from my last season. And so, of course, inside me, I don't say it out loud, but I'm going, but goalkeepers can run too, like, but like during competition, yes, David Beckham could run, right? Because the goalkeeper is supposed to stay close to the goal, so they're not supposed to run in competition, which was relevant for the meet. And I'm just like, I just said that out loud. But it was accepted as a ratified entrance, and I was like, so after the goalkeeper thing, I'm like, I need to focus on the topic here, and I'm like, are they going to verify that David Beckham runs the 800 meters? Is that the relevant comparison here? Is he gonna, does he have to back that up? Is he gonna hear about this? I don't know. This was my high school track and field, and I'm like, what if he's like a slave owner guy? I'm like, this is for real, because he's English, like, and he's pure English, and I'm only part English, and I'm like, what, am I like his slave? Like, I'll run for David Beckham if like if he wants to watch me run, and he provides me food and like shelter and stuff, and like, that sounds like a slave. But that's also better than a lot of living conditions these days. So word vomit turned into mind vomit. I think, like, perhaps the biggest takeaway there was that my answer of David Beckham as being a fast runner and, like, somebody I admired was accepted by the middle distance running group. I was like, that might not have flown with the sprinters, but it did fly with the middle distance. My group, the middle distance group, which makes sense if you think about it, because in soccer, while you have to sprint, as a field player, the games are long, so the nature of it actually, I guess depending on one's approach and one's athletic abilities, could translate. I made it translate to middle distance running. Anyway, fast forward, and I stick with running, and I stopped competing, but I continued to get faster and improve on my own, and with myself as coach and dietitian and nutritionist and stuff. And then in California, I returned to running after taking a break from like the activity of running as the running training. And I'm like, I'm not allowed to run unless I can come up with one celebrity name, because like if you watch competitions, they're always like, so and so was in the stands. I was like, I'm not allowing myself to run again unless I can name one legitimate celebrity who I would actually want to watch me run. Like, and I would be willing to talk with after. And so this was like the opposite of the word vomit, mind vomit situation. Was I was like, I gotta think about it. And I gotta take all of my options and assess it and choose one. Or not choose one. I'm like, I can name as many as I want, but I gotta have to have at least one. And I came up with one and only one name. And it was David Beckham. And I was like, you know what? If I ever do return to running, and if I ever do go fast, my career has been very oddly, entirely defined in terms of one man, David Beckham. And filming this today, Friday, 6 September 2024, saying the only person who I would go so far as to say, like, if I were to go out and compete and run really fast, and like maybe even run as fast as some of the men, like in competition, or like high level competition, the only other person I might at this point add to that list, if that happened, right? So currently it's David Beckham, but if that happened, then John Landy would also make the list. He's an Australian middle distance runner, or was. Technically, I think he's dead now. So, his influence on my sporting career has been one of acceptance and continuing on with something I found that I loved. So I'd say, in terms of if there's a single individual who's had more influence on my career, even if just like really in unanticipated ways, it's Mr. David Beckham. I am trying to finish this cup of noodles in the video. Remember, only one ingredient, just add water. Or one additive ingredient. So my take on the influence of David Beckham on my sporting career, 1990s to present. Substantial and defining. Formative. There we go. Thank you for joining me. Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle.